So I'm continuing. Good morning, everyone. Today I shall be talking about extra pulmonary manifestations of COVID-19 infection and its specific findings which are seen up till now. As you everybody know that COVID-19 is now most well known for causing substantial respiratory pathologies. It can result in several extra pulmonary manifestations. Very critical component of the diagnosis, and it is required for diagnostic workup, monitoring of disease progression and its extent, and follow-up of the related syndromes. Before any imaging should be done, the radiology team should be fully aware of all precautions and strategies to minimize the risk of infection among staff, radiological staff, and patients. A bit about extra pulmonary manifestation. As Dr. Abel in his initial lectures has shown the relationship of ACE2 with the infection and their extrapulmonary involvement. Given that the ACE2, the entry receptor for the causative coronavirus, is expressed in multiple extrapulmonary tissues, direct viral tissue damage is plausible mechanism of injury. In addition, the endothelial damage and thromboinflammations with dysregulation of immune responses and maladaptation of ACE2 related pathways might all contribute to these extrapulmonary manifestations of COVID-19. Here, we will review the extrapulmonary organ specific presentation for consideration of management of patients with COVID-19 to aid clinicians and scientists in recognizing and monitoring the spectrum of manifestations, and in developing research priorities and therapeutic strategies for all organ system involvement. So these are basically the systems involved by COVID-19. They can have neurological findings, renal involvement, the liver involvement, GIT involvement, thromboembolic episodes, the cardiac involvement, endocrine, and the cutaneous involvements. A word about neurological manifestations. The COVID-19 impacts the brain of some infected patients. This is as a result of cytokine storm, and they suggest that a subgroup of patients might have this syndrome, resulting in neurological problems. And the neurological problems can be strokes, hemorrhages, arteriopathy, encephalopathy, encephalitis, or hemorrhagic necrotizing encephalopathies. COVID-19 is an independent risk factor for acute ischemic stroke, and the cause could be prothrombotic state. A stroke incidence of 2.5 to 6% has been reported. All critical ill patients with infection often show elevated D-dimer levels and platelet counts. The prevalence of anticoagulant is 45 to 91% in severe COVID-19 patients. The patients may have higher plasma cytokinin level. The virus-induced central nervous system vasculitis is already known. So that again, this vasculitis is again a cause of all thrombotic episodes. The endothelitis can cause microcirculatory vasoconstrictions and endothelial dysfunction with consequent ischemia and apoptosis. So as a result of coagulopathy, vasculitis, cytokine storm syndrome occurs, and this resulting into the strokes. This was a case of 45-year-old male patients presenting with cerebrovascular accident, and the CT scan shows, this is plain CT, that shows the involvement of right cerebral hemisphere. There is loss of gray white matter differentiation with displacement of the central, that shows mass effect, and here this shows the hyperdense MCA. The hyperdense MCA in plain images suggestive of thrombosis in the artery. So this was a case of cerebral arterial thrombosis in COVID-19. A recent report has claimed a 7-fold increase in younger strokes among individual without risk factors and mild to no symptoms of COVID-19. So patient may or may not be having the usual respiratory presentation of COVID-19, directly may present with neurological findings. This is a arteriogram, neck CT arteriography that shows a large thrombus in the internal cerebral artery, internal carotid artery, and this again shows a thrombus, large thrombus, hypodense thrombus in the internal carotid artery. This image shows the large effect involving the parietal, left parietal area and right putamen, internal capsule area. These are some patients where it shows the chest X-ray shows the routine picture which is usually seen in all COVID patients, involving patchy involvement, GGOs involving the peripheral and middle and lower part of the thorax, and with head CT showing loss of gray-white differentiation to the left occipital and parietal lobes consistent with acute thrombosis. This is again another patient where the initial angiogram was normal, the chest X-ray showing the finding consistent with COVID-19, and the later of the CT, plain CT had showing the acute infarct in the region of centrum semiovale. This is a case of another patient with COVID-19 positive and shows MRI of this patient shows there is a small infarct in the left medial temporal lobe, sorry. The association of COVID-19 with anosmia and hypogeusia, that is, everybody knows the presentation symptoms of COVID-19 can be the loss of taste and loss of smell. So more concern on sense of smell related to COVID-19 were raised since March 2020 around the world. Afterward, increasing cases of COVID-19 were noted to have anosmia and loss of taste or both. In a recent multi-center study in Europe, as high as 85.6% and 88.0% of mild to moderate COVID-19 patients reported to have olfactory and gustatory dysfunction. These are few images showing the involvement of olfactory bulb and olfactory tract, just to tell about the findings in cases of anosmia. So the olfactory bulb can directly be tracked and bulb can directly be involved through the nasal infection by the virus. And these are the coronal 3D turbo spin echo images. They're showing smaller olfactory bulb. And the T2 weighted fat suppressed images again showing some linear hyper intensity inside the bilateral olfactory nerves. That shows the involvement of olfactory nerves by the virus. These are the coronal and axial images, T2 weighted fat set images, flare images that shows cortical hyperintensity in the right gyrus rectus. And later on, 28 days after the presenting features with treatment, the images shows the reversal of the symptoms. However, still the olfactory bulb are showing hyperintensities. This is a MRI scan of the patient, 53-year-old patient who was critically ill and was in intensive care unit due to infections. The axial T2 weighted images showing the bilateral frontal hyperintense lesions, and they shows on other sequences they were showing immediate evidence of hemorrhages, and this hemorrhages suggestive of coagulopathies in cases of COVID-19 infection. Another case showing diffuse disorders of white matter and microhemorrhages. These are flare images, the ADC maps, and DWI imaging. They shows hyperintensities in bilateral centrum semiovale, which are more clear in flare images. Their restriction of the DWI images shows restriction, and here the ADC map showing decrease ADC. So they are all suggestive of infarcts or diffuse disorders of white matter in all the images. In FLAIR images, there are small areas of microhemorrhages are also seen. This is a case of meningitis where here in this image, the MRI of this image shows hyperintensity along the lateral wall of inferior horn of lateral ventricles, that is suggestive of ventriculitis. And here in the mesial temporal lobe and hippocampus area shows significant atrophy and hyperintensity. This image shows the lobe of paranasal sinusitis or pansinusitis. So this was a case of right lateral ventriculitis and encephalitis with paranasal sinusitis. Another case, these are all as a result of thrombosis hypercoagulability state due to COVID-19. This is plain CT that shows evidence of hemorrhages into the right temporal lobe. This is MRI at the same region. This is FLAIR image showing hemorrhagic infarct because the central area is hypointense. That is shows the temporal resolution of the hemorrhage. And here the venogram, MR venogram has been taken, and that shows right sigmoid sinus and right transverse sinus thrombosis. Another case showing isolated splenium lesion in the corpus callosum, splenium of corpus callosum on the brain MRI, and later on that resolves with another image. Here the chest CT of the same patient showing characteristic COVID-19 presentation. This is a case of acute encephalopathy where the hyperintensity is noted in cerebellum and which is suggestive of encephalopathy. These are the other cases has been taken from the literature showing multiple area of hemorrhages, intracerebral hemorrhages in a patients of COVID positive cases. This is a pediatric patient with focal cerebral arteriopathy. Here, the T2 weighted image showing involvement of caudate nucleus, the putamen, the internal capsule and the external capsule. The low values on axial, the low values are seen in the DWI images, ADC maps, and the arteriogram time of flight image shows narrowing in the M1 segment of MCA, left MCA with decreased circulation distally. This is a case of acute necrotizing encephalopathy. Here, there is hypodensity seen in bilateral thalamus. However, the veins are normal and the arterial system was also normal. But in another case, this shows hyperintensity in region of temporal horns, temporal lobes, and bilateral thalamus. In GRE sequences, this is C and G. They are GRE sequences. They shows hypointense signals that is suggestive of hemorrhages. And this D and H images, they are post-contrast images that shows the ring-like enhancement. So that was a case of necrotizing encephalopathy. A word about gastrointestinal manifestations. Nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain have been reported anywhere from 3 to 50% of patients with concomitant pulmonary infections. ACE2 and virus nucleocapsid protein were detected in GIT of epithelial cells. The infection has been found in fecal samples from patients with COVID-19 pulmonary diseases, and a study will be needed to assess the role of abdominal imaging for possible associated secondary findings of enterocolitis and hepatitis. The word about hepatic manifestation of COVID-19. COVID-19 can result in decreased liver enzymes. There is moderate microvesicular steatosis, that is fatty infiltration with mild lobular and portal inflammatory activities as the injury indicators were found in pathological studies. CT and ultrasound features of hepatic fatty infiltration or steatosis is suggestive of, like in ultrasound, it will shows increased parenchymal echogenicities, and CT will show the hypodensity in the liver. That is suggestive of, and you can do the estimation of this fatty infiltration also with different softwares. These are the CT of abdomen of a patient with acute abdominal pain, and the axial CT and the coronal reformated images. These are all the bowel, the small intestines, and the small intestine shows distended loops with segmental thickening, with adjacent congestion of mesentery, and small volume of fluid is also seen in the peritoneal cavity. The findings are not specific to any infection, but suggestive of early ischemic changes, and that is seen in different COVID positive patients. This is another case where this is coronal reformated images, and these the surgical specimen. Here you can see the free fluid, the loss of continuity of the bowel wall, and enhancement of the bowel wall. The bowel wall enhancement is less as compared as should be expected with contrast image images. That is suggestive of pneumatosis intestinalis and non-enhancing bowels. So this frank discontinuity of the thickened loops of small bowel in the pelvis is suggestive of perforation. Here, the yellow discoloration of the bowel shows evidence of ischemia in the bowel wall. Another case that shows the portal venous plain X-ray of the abdomen, and here in the region of right infradiaphragmatic region, you can very well see the portal venous case. Yes. This is the CT scan that again shows gas in the portal venous system. And this is the CT scan of the rest lower abdomen that shows findings of pneumatosis cysticercosis intestinalis, and the gas has come from this area. This is ultrasound in the region of gallbladder, and that shows evidence of cholestasis with distended gallbladder. Another case showing this is ascending colon. Here you can see non-specific circumferential wall thickening with mural hyper enhancement and mesenteric hypervascularity. These are the non-specific with mild distended bowel loops. They are fluid filled. This is pericolonic inflammation or stranding with multiple small lymph nodes, the cecal lymph nodes. And the chest of lower chest shows evidence of typical COVID-19 GGOs and consolidations. Another case where the respiratory system was normal and the chest CT was normal. There is no evidence of any GGOs or consolidations or any reticular thickening, but the abdomen is showing the involvement of ascending colon, the involvement of transverse colon, and involvement of descending colon. These are the coronal reformated images of right side, left side, and the axial images of the same patient. So that is showing thick walls with more enhancement of the mural walls with mesenteric hypervascularity and extensive pericolonic fat stranding. What about cardiac manifestations? The cardiac manifestation, as you know already, that ACE2 as a target receptor for infection, the COVID infection is significantly expressed in the heart also, and resulting in myocarditis and cardiomyopathy. These are because of cardiac injury occur because of overwhelming storm of immune inflammatory response and cytokines, direct damage to cardiomyocytes by viral invasion. ACE2 enzyme expresses as a viral entry receptor in the heart, and ARDS causes severe hypoxia, oxidative stress, and ultimately increased myocardial oxygen demand, resulting in the cardiac damage. Here, the chest HRCT of thorax shows multiple peripheral consolidation and GGOs in bilateral lung, and in the region of heart, there is evidence of thickening and pericardial effusion. Again, in the same patient, pleural effusion, pericardial effusion, with multiple lung lesions suggestive of COVID-19. A word about nephrological manifestation. Outside the respiratory system, the kidneys are among the common organ targeted by COVID-19. The renal pathologies basically include associated with AKI, that is acute kidney injury. The most common injury is acute tubular necrosis, and few report describing renal infarcts due to severe hypercoagulability state. This increased coagulopathies resulting in infarcts in multiple areas of renal parenchyma. Renal infarcts due to possible endothelial damage causing from microvascular damages related to the virus are also known, and patient infected with COVID-19 sustained renal injuries so severe that their kidney almost shut down and they may require dialysis. This is a case. The chest HRCT of thorax shows lesions, GGOs in multiple peripheral areas in the thorax. And here you can see the thrombus in the pulmonary arteries. The lower part, this is eccentric thrombus in the pulmonary artery. And this is the abdominal CT at the region of kidneys, shows hypoenhancing portion in the renal parenchyma with sharp margins and with perinephric stranding. So these are the cases.
कौन बोल रहे हो? Morning.
This is the case.
रेखा सिस्टर इंचार्ज से बात करो. ये इतना आवाज क्यों हो रही है?
Thromboembolic manifestation of COVID-19.
ये क्यों इतना आवाज कर रहे हैं?
COVID-19 causes elevation in coagulation markers such as PTT and
dimer,
which is associated with increased mortality. This hypercoagulability results in thrombosis, pulmonary embolisms, and
बताओ पीछे से पहले बताओ. बोलो मैडम फोन पे बस बोल रहे हैं, डांट रहे हैं.
Cerebral and non-cerebral arterial thromboembolic disease. Here you can very well see in a Doppler ultrasound of the left lower extremity in a 57-year-old male with COVID-19. The
बोलो ये सिस्टर इंचार्ज को बताओ. बोलो.
The CT pelvis of the same patient shows
नाइट ड्यूटी है तो आई नहीं है.
Thrombus in the right common femoral vein, and here the pulmonary
artery. फिर कौन चिल्ला रहा है?
The saddle-shaped pulmonary embolism. Here, this is the coronal reformated, the sagittal reformated of the abdomen.
ये होता है वार्ड के काउंटर पे.
That is showing thrombus in the celiac origin.
कौन सी मैडम?
Both the renal arteries are involved by
तो इतना जोर-जोर से चिल्ला-चिल्ला के
in their length. And here again the cerebral, the cranial CT, that's showing large infarct in the parietal and occipital region in a patient of COVID-19 with the the CT angiograph of the sacula velish showing the block of arteries, and with distal the scarcity of the distal MCA territory. The Kawasaki-like multisystem inflammatory syndrome is also seen in children with COVID-19, and this outbreak of disease occurs in countries affected by pandemic with might present outside the classical Kawasaki disease phenotypes. This is a serious manifestation, and more aggressive management is required in such cases. The Kawasaki disease is an acute and usually self-limiting vasculitis of the medium caliber vessels, which almost exclusively affected children. These are the few images has been taken from the literature just to show the Kawasaki disease and with COVID-19. About other system involvements in hematological, hematological area, by spilling high level of cytokinin in the circulatory system, patient may present with septic shock, metabolic acidosis, and coagulation dysfunction. They usually have normal or decreased WBC count, lymphopenia, and thrombocytopenia with lower extremity purpura and epistaxis. The neurological symptoms like headache due to microhemorrhages can also occur. In relation to cutaneous manifestation, you can have erythema and urticaria, chickenpox-like vesicles. In reproductive systems, patient can present with orchitis and with ocular manifestation in form of conjunctival infection and chemosis. So the CT, MRI, both are required sometimes. MRI for neurological manifestation of COVID-19, and the pulmonary MRI imaging features are required. Pulmonary MRI feature is not basically described in the literature, but sometimes when you do the abdominal CT, the lower thoracic cut can demonstrate the few pulmonary findings in form of consolidations. However, the abdominal and cardiac and neurological MRI can be performed. For cardiac MRI, we also have some useful applications for myocarditis and cardiomyopathies. Few reports exist of FDG PET CT findings COVID-19 as PET and CT and PET CT both shows mixed attenuation CT findings. In cases of different malignancies and lymphomas, the utility of FDG PET may be established in the future. So the teaching point, the multimodality imaging review provides information on the spectrum of COVID-19 in extrathoracic and thoracic imaging findings in CT, MRI, PET CT, and ultrasound. Chest radiography and CT are an official component of the diagnostic criteria for COVID-19. ACR recommends widespread use of portable chest X-rays and focus, as I described earlier, is point of care ultrasound of thorax. Chest CT, unexplained respiratory complication after X-ray or focus. The precaution should be taken before and or after and or while performing and after CT. The imaging findings are not so much specific. Still, ground glass opacities and or with or without consolidation in the peripheral posterior predominance in lower lungs in COVID suspect patient supports our diagnosis. The MRI plays important role in neurological manifestations and emerging for the diagnosis of myocarditis. Keep in mind the multi-system manifestation of COVID-19 before doing any investigation. The long-term sequelae of COVID-19 infections are not yet well established, and for that more studies are required. About disclaimer, the data is taken from literature. Knowledge of this condition is evolving rapidly, so all published information may not be up to date, and guidelines should be formed depending on the need. The consensus between imaging and clinical detail provider is essential to establish an agreed upon approach for like which investigation is required when, and all guidelines need to be individualized based on the institutional need and limitations. Thank you.